And I'm so sorry if my mother's listening to this, but it's time you knew that I drank at the Havelock Country Jamboree, and I'm so sorry.
My hometown messed me up. She won big on a Timmy's Cup. I heard about it at the Rotary Club. That's so Canardian. Still don't stop.
This is Canardian, the podcast that's gossiping about Canadian hometowns. I'm Katie Lohr, author of Pod the North, the newsletter for Canadian podcasters. And I am joined by Marianna Miniotis, the vice president of the Sonar Network, a Canadian podcast network featuring the funny and the fascinating. Marianna, thank you so much for joining the show.
Hi, Katie. Thank you so much for having me.
So, here's the question. Where is your hometown, and how would you describe the vibe of it in 5 words or less?
Oh my God. Okay. 5 words or less. You don't know me. I can't do anything in 5 words or less.
Me neither. And most people don't. You're not alone in this. This usually turns into like a 30-minute segment. No, I'm kidding. But it's at least 5.
Okay. Well, I will say first and foremost, I cheated.
Okay.
Because this is not technically my hometown. It is a town that I am connected to and that I've spent a lot of time in for reasons that will become clear throughout this episode. But I didn't grow up there. My family became, dare I say, prominent in the town in 2004, as of 2004, and I was 14 years old. But in 5 words or less, I would describe the vibe of Havelock as countryside. Trains, beer.
Okay.
One Chinese restaurant.
Okay, that's definitely 5 words-ish. That's great. And I picked up on most of this. So I'm very excited for this discussion. Okay, just to make sure it's out there, your hometown, in this case for the podcast, is Havelock, Ontario. It is not Havelock, Ontario, as I read it to be. And I watched numerous videos on YouTube to figure out how people pronounced it. Here's my tourism board pitch for you, and we'll see if I'm missing anything. And I think we're pretty aligned. Okay, Havelock, Ontario. Established in 1892, it is located in the Peterborough County, and it was the village of Havelock for just over 100 years. But in 1998, Belmont and Methuen Township...
Methuen,
that's how you say it. Okay, great.
I think.
Belmont and Methuen Township amalgamate with the village of Havelock and form what is now called the Township of Havelock, Belmont, Methuen. Rolls off the tongue. Havelock, Belmont, Methuen, or HBR for short, Havelock for the sake of this podcast. It sits on the traditional territory of the Mississauga First Nations and is part of Treaty 20, also known as the Rice Lake Purchase. And it has a population of about 5,000 people, best known as a railway town. It houses the historic Canadian Pacific Rail Yard in the center of town. It also has a long-time mining industry. And for 30 years, it was home to the iconic Havelock Country Jamboree, Canada's largest live outdoor country music festival and camping festival. And finally, because it's the center of the universe, Havelock is about a 2-hour drive east of Toronto, but Havelock's website assumes that it is only 90 minutes. So what am I missing here?
Wow, you got a lot in there. Maybe what you missed is that my father actually owns that central train station.
This is wild to me, Marianna, because the amount of research that I did into this train station and like have a breakdown, and then for you to come in and say that this is like a family heirloom, this is massive news to me after all of the painstaking labor I have been doing reading about trains in Havelock.
Yeah.
This is amazing. So are you royalty in the town?
Okay, I mean, I don't know if we are royalty or hated at this point.
Okay.
Like we might, it could go either way. I guess depends who you ask. But my dad purchased the large abandoned train station that's kind of right on the main road of the town, right beside the train tracks, in 2004. And we became the restaurant people. He remodeled it, but he kept a lot of the architecture and the like original tiling in the bathrooms and the original marbling and stuff, like at the original windows. It's like huge high ceilings. It's like a beautiful space inside. It's really cute, and it feels like a historic like place. So that was really cool. He bought it. He kind of renovated it and opened it up as a restaurant, and they serve, my dad's Greek, so they serve souvlaki, obviously, but also like, burgers, fries, pizza, which by the way, everybody says is the best pizza.
Is it true that there's also a weed dispensary in there?
There is now. For a long time. So he purchased the whole station, but then he made half of it into a restaurant, and the other half, for a long time, he actually had that as a Mr. Sub, and I used to work there. It was a Mr. Sub for years, and then at some point we were like, okay, the Mr. Sub is not doing us any favors, so we closed it down, and then he started renting it out to a cannabis guy. That business is not affiliated with us and my family, just to be clear.
Oh my God. This is amazing. Like, I don't think I've had this close of a connection to a town I've talked about on this show. I haven't had a person who's this deep inside the community. This is very, very exciting news for me. And yeah, your dad's restaurant, I don't know the name of it, but it came up a couple of times as I was reading about the station. A lot of great reviews. A lot of people said it's really nice. So there you
God,
go.
I hope so. It's called the Station Restaurant and Pizza Station. So he just went for the basics. There are a lot of regulars. Like the fun thing is that I've gotten to know a lot of the regulars in the town, even though I don't live there. Like I live in Toronto, but I spent summers working. I spent summers working at Mr. Sub, and then when I was old enough to serve alcohol, I spent my summers working at the station, and serving for months at a time. And I got to know the regulars that come there a lot. So now, anytime I go visit my dad, I see people, and they're always like, "Oh, it's Marianna. It's so nice to see you." And I'm like, "Oh my God, it's like my little town that I can visit." Like almost like a hometown, even though I didn't grow up there.
Yeah, okay. You definitely feel like an adopted local, at the very least. But you are the daughter of a local legend at this point. So there you go. So here I found this description online of Havelock. Wow. Now I'm going to say it wrong the entire rest of the show. And I feel like it describes sort of what you're getting at. But what we haven't touched on is sort of like the scenic nature of this whole area. So it says, Havelock is a small village in a vast and rugged land with dense forests of white pine, many lakes and rivers, and bold rock outcroppings. So like a nice naturey kind of area with the train coming through, an old station, mining kind of town.
It's in the Kawartha Lakes region. So there's tons of lakes around and all these little towns that are like kind of, it's so funny that Havelock was not big enough to be its own damn town. So they were like, no, we got to throw some other towns in there and make it like a township. It's not good enough to be on its own. But it is, truly. It is so
and now it's just referred to as HBR, which like, it doesn't have the same romantic vibe to it.
There's 5,000 people in that town. That's not a town. This is my call to Havelock to cut toxic people out of your life and just like grow stronger independently.
So the region's colonial history began in the early to mid 1800s with an influx of settlers coming into the area once the area was surveyed and people were like, ooh, we can do mining here. And there's lots of like great resources like forests and water and rocks and all these things. Eventually, mining became a huge part of the economy, and that really dominated its history for a long time. But then, in the 1800s, in the late 1800s, the Canadian Pacific Railway surveys came in, and they filled all of like what was essentially swampy land to lay down rails in preparation for a larger village. So the trains came in, and so did officially Havelock.
I love this history because there is an obsession with the railroad there. And
there is.
It's not just my dad and the people that like the restaurant or something. It's like when we bought the restaurant, everybody lost it. Like everybody was like, oh, somebody bought this train station. Like, what are they going to do? This is our landmark. This is like our big special building that we have. And it was a frantic situation. But then I think people were scared that he was going to tear it down or whatever. So he very respectfully kind of renovated it and then had a huge grand opening. A lot of the townspeople came, and thankfully they were happy with it. I remember I was 14, so I don't remember everything, but I do remember some tension about oh my God, does everyone just hate us now? Because we did this. But actually people really took to it.
They would rather the building be abandoned than anybody buy it and put any love into it, and possibly change it. It's a weird dichotomy, but I see this a lot in a lot of small towns.
Yeah, small towns get very protective of their stuff. There's a pretty bad history in Canada of people coming in and changing things for the worse. So I get it. But yeah, we did put a lot of love into it. And actually, one cool thing is that we found a giant safe in the basement. And it was a whole ordeal because no one could open it. It was a beautiful, it actually sits outside the front of the station now in a beautiful garden. My dad is a gardener, so he's made pretty gardens around it. And there's in the center is this big ornate safe, so thick and huge. And the lock on it was impossible. We had people come in from all over trying to open it. And we had to actually call in a guy from the States somewhere who was an expert lock picker guy. He had made a name for himself. We flew him in for the safe opening. And he actually managed to open it. And inside was nothing that valuable. It was but it was train station logs of I don't even know. I think workers logging in and out and stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
So old records from the actual train station as it was functioning, and a couple of cents of money.
Okay,
not much money. So
I wonder why those things were put in that safe.
I don't know, and locked away for hundreds of years. Why? I don't know.
Oh, that's so fun. I love that it was a community event. So Havelock was a very important freight depot from the 1880s to the 1960s, but it was sold, the station was sold in the 1960s and then just sort of sat abandoned forever. And yeah, today the railway is still in use, just transporting rocks for the most part from the mining. And I wrote, the station is still there, a prominent landmark, and houses a restaurant, and a very nice restaurant at that. There's also the old yellow, fully preserved former CP rail caboose that's there on site. And I mentioned the beautiful landscape. Havelock is also very ripe for tourism these days. Not so much trains are bringing people in. I saw videos on YouTube of people at the train station just recording a caboose going by of some other random train, just screaming yeah, it's the CP24 or whatever it was. They're oh my God. People love trains. Train enthusiasts love trains.
People love trains. We get a lot of train enthusiasts coming in from all over the place just to hang out in the station. And we've had people come and give us books they wrote about trains that include this station, collections of photographs. If you go, they have all kinds on top of the bar. We've just set all kinds of books and old photos and things that people gave us that were I mentioned this station in my this thing, and it's cool because we've hung up a lot of it too, so you can kind of get to know the history of the station and see photos of old workers there and things. But yes, it's a train loving town.
One of the three main things that Havelock has is nature, mines, and trains. Which one of these do you know way too much about? And I think we've established it's trains. So Havelock has a very active Facebook group called Havelock Ontario Shares. It has 4.3 members, which is almost the entire population of Havelock.
4.3 thousand?
4.3 thousand, yes, sorry. Almost 10 plus posts per day are put on there. And I have to say, this Facebook group for a town is probably the group with the most substance I've ever seen in doing this show. People are making great posts, lots of amazing stuff. What kind of posts do you think are in this group?
I almost guarantee that there are people there asking for a refund for their Jamboree ticket.
Okay.
And I think they are buying and selling and trading all kinds of things. I can't even fathom really what they have to say every single day. Why there are
It's all
10 posts a
good.
day, I don't know. But
It's a wide variety of things that are
probably
going
a lot of
on.
community stuff, I
Yeah,
assume, because there's a
comings and
lot of like
goings of
little
the
events, like
town.
you said.
Hmm.
There are a lot of little events, kids things, like even neighboring towns, like, oh, this market in Cordova or
Hmm.
whatever, like little parties, little things. Probably a lot of that.
Hmm. From what I've noticed as well, most people like Havelockians feel quite extroverted, or like
Mm-hmm.
willing to voice opinions, and just
Yes.
like be out there and help. It's either helping the community or voicing an opinion, but either way, like they are going to be at the forefront of most things. Here
They're
are
chatty.
some, yeah,
Very
chatty,
chatty. Mm-hmm.
chatty. Here are some posts that I found. Here's one. Heads up, there's 3 little punk boys with ski masks going around town throwing ice balls at people's windows and saying some pretty provocative things to kids.
Oh
So there's one
no.
comings and goings of Havelock, Ontario. Here's another one. To the person that lives on third line driving around in a truck making notes of people's houses that have trailers on the property, then going to town hall putting complaints, get a life and find something better to do with your time. Nursing homes could use the volunteers, perhaps the Lions Club. Everyone is doing what they can to get by with the way the world is. We don't need someone spying and taking pictures of people's homes for something to do. Please do something more productive with your time than creep on random people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Go
This is
off.
like these are both from like the last couple of days. And finally, somebody posted a picture of a cow in the middle of the road at night and said, "So is anyone missing a cow around Country Road 48 and Belmont second line? This guy is beautiful and out for a stroll, it seems." And the comments, it has 53 comments on this. Like people are very active. And most of the comments are people telling each other like not to joke around about this, and that like running into a cow at night is very serious and that people have died from this. Like, do not laugh
Do
at
cows kill
this.
people?
Yeah, like it's like basically the equivalent of like running into a moose, and you can totally die from running your car into a moose.
Like driving into.
Oh
Okay,
yeah,
I thought you
sorry,
meant
not
just like
physically.
encountering a cow on the road as you're walking down the street. I was like, are they that
Running
dangerous?
into it with
Okay.
a vehicle.
Oh, that is scary. No, that's
Yeah.
terrifying. And the number of deer we have encountered with our
Mm-hmm.
vehicles
Mm-hmm.
over the last few years has been crazy. And it's very scary when it happens. Yeah. And a cow, I imagine, is like running into a building.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
intense. So it's not no laughing matter. I found 2 posts of people making jokes. Somebody said cowabunga and somebody else said free steaks. And like they were majority downvoted. Like people were not having this.
Okay, yeah, because
Not
the other thing I'll
having
say,
this.
Havelock seems to have a pretty senior community, like a pretty
Hmm.
active senior community. That's the other thing, is like I think young people, and probably this is the case for a lot of Canadian small towns, a lot of young people, once they're in their 20s, 30s, they kind of probably start venturing out
Hmm.
often. Um, and then a lot of the folks who are older stay behind and they get really involved in town politics and just
Hmm.
the comings and goings of the town. So probably this Facebook group, I would imagine, is a lot of older-ish people that are very interested in what is going on and very serious about like how you should behave.
Yeah. I feel like
Yeah.
that's the only reason why it has 10 plus posts a day. It's
Yeah.
probably
That
the
makes
age
sense.
range.
And the Legion, you mentioned the Legion, it is
Yes.
also mostly a bunch of old guys that get together and I don't know what they do. Here's another crazy little fact. My brother joined the Legion and he's not allowed to talk to us about what goes on there.
What?
They're like Freemasons or something.
No way.
Yes,
Wait, is that a thing across all legions?
I do not know. I don't know anything about this Legion. I don't know if this Legion specifically is Freemason or if it's like something like Freemasons that are different. I don't know. But the fact is, He's not allowed to talk to us about it. He won't tell us what has ever been said when he's gone to a Legion meeting. He hasn't been in many years also. He's like pretty much fallen off of that. I think it was like a phase he went through. But he's kept it tight, just shut.
Damn.
Has not said a word. He's not allowed. They're not allowed to talk about what goes on. It's very secret society. It's very like we're secretly going to take over the world or something.
Yeah.
It's weird.
I'm still trying to figure out what the difference is between the Legion, the Lions Club, and the Rotary Club.
Right. I don't know.
All I know is it's probably a whole bunch of like old white dudes getting together.
Yeah.
And it might be a secret, it might not. They might be making pancakes, they might not. That's my understanding.
I mean, more likely than not, they're just drinking beer and like complaining about their wives or something. And then like I don't imagine they have some big secret plan to influence international politics or God knows what. I don't think so.
I don't think
they're
so
just a
either.
bunch of bored old men.
I think they're talking about snowmobile policies. More than likely.
Or that
More
the
than
stop
likely.
sign is tilted on George Street or something.
Yeah. Okay. So we've talked about tourism being a bit of an economic driver for Havelock, and that's mostly due to it being cottage country. But for 30 years, there was one major driver of tourism dollars. Marianna, please take a wild guess as to what that was.
Oh, I know what that is. And it's actually prominently displayed on the town sign when you're driving into Havelock. It says, "Welcome to Havelock, home of the Havelock Country Jamboree." That is the big event. Was the big event.
The big event. Okay. So I have like basically the history of what happened to the Havelock Country Jamboree, like ready for us to talk about. This is like, you have a ton of stories from what I understand. So you're going to like, as we go along, embellish from modern day times, your time at the Havelock Country Jamboree. How many times have you gone, first off?
I've gone maybe 3 or 4 times. I was underage to be drinking for probably most of those.
Okay.
And that didn't stop me. And I'm so sorry if my mother's listening to this, but it's time you knew that I drank at the Havelock Country Jamboree, and I'm so sorry.
Now, are you a big country music fan, or did you just go for the novelty of it being the Jamboree?
I love country music. I love old country music because I love blues country, and I love blues, and I love bluegrass. I love folk. I love a banjo, like that. All of that is very much in my interest. But
okay,
I do not really like modern country that's like all about trucks and stuff. I'm not like the Tim McGraw type. And the Havelock Country Jamboree was very much like modern big acts.
Yes.
Leanne Rimes was there. Like, there was one year where the big thing was that Tommy Cash, Johnny Cash's brother or stepbrother or something, was there. And that was like the big highlight. And I saw him, and he mostly just played Johnny Cash songs, and it was like, fine. But that's not really why you go to the Jamboree.
And why is it that you go to the Jamboree?
Well, it depends how old you are. If you're 60 and up, you go to enjoy the music. You put your little fold-out chair on the field, which is so muddy, by the way. So muddy. And you sink into the mud, and you watch the music, and you eat whatever snacks you've brought. And that's a lot of people there. Mm-hmm. And then there are people that are more like, 20 to 40 range-ish or whatever, that are getting absolutely shit-faced just for like 3 days straight. Those are the people. They have an area. It's called the back. I think it's called the backwoods. It's the back area of the lot where the campgrounds are like for people that are getting shit-faced. So they're like slightly away from the family trailers and stuff. And that area is a mess. But that's the draw for them. And then there's people that like bring their RVs. There's literally, when the Jamboree would start happening, or like the day before, it would be from like a Friday to Sunday kind of thing, or Thursday to Sunday thing. The day before, when they start letting trailers in, the whole town shuts down because you cannot move. It's
just
like
a brigade of RVs driving
Mhm.
through the town.
100%. And the town, by the way, is 2 stoplights. So it's
Yeah.
like the entire town is RVs and like just people lining up to get into these fields. And it messes with the whole town. And there was, I'm getting away from your question here, but there was a moment where my best friend and I went up for the summer just before the Jamboree, and my dad had this brilliant idea that because all these trailers were lined up on the road and not moving all day long, all weekend long, he would sell hot dogs to those cars. This is my dad's Greek
I love your
entrepreneurial
dad
spirit.
so much.
So he brought a barbecue, and him and his friend were grilling hot dogs. And my best friend and I, we were like probably, I don't know, 15, 16 at the time. We were running up and down the highway, stopping, like knocking on windows, being like, do you want a hot dog? It's $1 or whatever it was. And so many people bought hot dogs. I don't know if you're allowed to do that, but we did it. And it worked really well, and it was hilarious, me and my friend running up and down the road. But yeah, that's how dense the traffic is. It's all day long. It's really, really crazy. But yeah, so people bring RVs. People come up from like I've talked to people at the Jamboree that have come up from like Arizona, like from all over the States, all over Canada, other countries as well. Like people just, I don't know how they even know about the Jamboree. I guess it was on for 30 years, but like in my mind, it was always like, why? Why did you come so far for this? It's just a big muddy field with like a stage.
This is the funniest thing because like we really need to talk about how significantly large this festival is compared to like the village of Havelock. Like it is for the population, the people that come out is about 4 times the size of the population of Havelock. It attracts around 20,000 people annually. And just to get into like some of the little facts, it's known internationally. And yeah, it's featured like Billy Ray Cyrus, Reba McEntire, Jason Aldean, even CCR at one point. I found a photo of 2 older ladies on TikTok or on Twitter just standing outside of their RV, and they had brought like a cardboard cutout of Blake Shelton being like, we brought Blake with us instead. Because I guess Blake never played there. So like this is a huge country music festival, and people like from all over the place, like you mentioned, come. This is what I want to ask you about, because there are a number of country music festivals that happen in Ontario, and it's like strange. Like it's all kind of the hub of this is like mid-Ontario. And I caught a bit of a vibe that there's like a little bit of competition or rivalry between the Havelock Jamboree and Boots and Hearts. What is your perspective of this? Boots and Hearts happens like about 3 hours northwest of the Jamboree.
Yeah, I know Boots and Hearts, but I don't know about like a rivalry. The one thing I will say is the people that run or ran the Jamboree, so it used to be run by like I think 2 partners, and one of them sold it to the other and got out years ago. And then this guy and I think his wife were running it. And there is an air of, I don't want to insult anybody, but there is an air of like drama around just running the Jamboree, how the tickets, the like just admin of it all, whether it's like competition with other things or they're mad at the town or they're mad at someone. It feels like there's always some like cloud of anger or something happening with the management of this big event, which might just be normal, but like I want to read you the notice on their website because it is like it feels petty or something. It goes like this. Okay, I'll do a dramatic reading of it. Dear Jamboree fans, we know that you are waiting for news about the Jamboree and refunds for the quote-unquote missed show. and moving forward, the future of the Jamboree. We are so happy that we have been able to provide you with 30 years of entertainment and fun, meeting new friends and reminiscing with old ones. We have watched 4 generations of families attend the Jamboree. It truly has become a tradition, capital T, in our lifetime, and we are a quote-unquote family. This makes it even harder. We regret to tell you that the Havelock Country Jamboree, as you know it, with Ed and Paula at the helm, will be closing the gates and the stages permanently. COVID hit us hard. Relationships broke down, and age is appearing to have taken its toll. We have reached the end of our working years. We are sorry. We did struggle trying to remain open when we could, work from home when we were ordered to. But for all of our efforts, it came to naught. The struggle was just too great at this age and stage of our lives. We have been ordered by the court to sell all the properties. Lawyers counseled us to remain silent about the closing, and that is the reason we were not able to tell you sooner. But as time marched on, we knew it was time to list the properties. We really can't say any more at this point, but know how anxious ticket holders are. Please be advised that it is our intention to issue refunds for tickets held, but as the sale works its way through the real estate process, at this time, our hands are tied. As soon as we're able,
Okay.
first monies go back to you. Let me say, this was posted years ago. No one has seen a dime from these people.
Okay, I am so glad you set the stage there. Let's rewind and start at the beginning, because I want to get your reaction as we go along. So as we know, Havelock Country Jamboree is beloved. Like, for 30 years, people love going and attracts 20,000 people a year. It's huge. It's the party of the year. That was until 2020, when the festival was canceled due to the COVID pandemic. That year, people who'd already purchased their tickets were told that they'd be good to use the next year in the 2021. And for the most part, like, attendees understood. Everybody was like going through it in 2020.
Yeah.
Did you have tickets to this festival?
God, no. I've been 3 or 4 times. I never once paid to go.
Nice. Okay, so a bit suspiciously, the festival actually took a long time to announce that it was going to be canceled in 2020. It wasn't until the HBM Township put a ban on all public gathering events. So it was a little sus in the beginning. I found some comments from Twitter at that time, and somebody said, "I'm glad that the township has taken the step to cancel all public gatherings, given that Havelock Jamboree hasn't voluntarily canceled at this point." Somebody else said they finally canceled the event where COVID-19 originated, the Havelock Jamboree. Fast forward to 2021, it's a year later, and people with last year's tickets are stoked for the Havelock Jamboree this year to finally make a comeback. And unfortunately, COVID is still largely in the picture, and there is another stay-at-home order, and the event is canceled again. Organizers say that 2020 tickets will still be valid for the 2022 event. And also, again, people are like, okay, we kind of get it, but maybe just refund us instead. Marianna, you're a ticket holder, let's imagine. At this point, are you optimistic about the 2022 event, or are you asking for a refund?
Oh, man. Good question. I think it was probably split between diehards who are like, I just want the Jamboree back, baby. And they were
especially after 2 years
just
in
holding
isolation.
out. Because
Yeah.
because for some people, truly, that was like their big getaway, their big plan for the summer was like going to this, bringing their whole family in a giant RV and like living there for 4 days. So I think probably some people were just hanging in there. In fact, there are people in the comments being like, oh, but put yourself in their shoes. It's like, what? They owe me $4,600. Like, no. Anyway, I think I would be, if it was me, who I am, I would be requesting a refund day one.
Okay, great. So 2022 rolls around, and a lot of people have held out hope for the festival. Because it's 2022, like, people are vaccinated at this point. The world has opened up a little bit more, especially for outdoor events like the Jamboree. Everyone's expecting the event to happen as it always does, the third weekend of August, but the date is getting closer and closer, and there's been no announcements of who the lineup of entertainment is going to be. And eventually, the deadline passes for when an announcement about who the headliners would be, with no word from festival organizers. Marianna, what do you think is going on here?
Oh, God. Yeah, like this is what I'm saying. Is there has been kind of already this air of drama in the management of this event. So like over the years you really kind of pick that up just like being in the town that it's like, oh, like they're fighting or something. So at this point I'm like I don't trust these people. I don't know. There are conspiracy theories and I don't know if
that's what I want to know.
Yes. There are people that feel like they took the money and they're never giving it back. And there's other people that think they've already sold the lands and they've got the money from selling the lands, but they refuse to give it back as refunds and they're just going to hold out as long as they can. The other thing is that I believe Ed and Paula, who were married, are divorcing.
Ooh.
I don't know if the divorce is done, but that was part of like why their announcement on the website said like relationships broke down. It was like Ed and Paula's relationship broke down. So I don't know if people think one of them took the money and ran. Like, there's a lot of theories out there. And people are very angry, understandably so. I mean, these tickets for the weekend to bring your RV and stuff, like some people paid upwards of $5,000 and they haven't seen that back.
This is what I was going to say. So at this point, nobody said anything about the 2022 festival. People bought tickets back in 2019 for the 2020 festival. People were paying on average $650 per ticket. And the only thing on the website at that time about a possible festival happening was, quote, "We recognize that you want answers as to whether there will be a 2022 or 2023 show and as to a refund process, and we hope to have those answers soon. We certainly have not forgotten about you, but we don't want to give you a statement when that is incomplete." So this is 2022. This is when the Canadian media starts getting involved. Global News notices a Facebook fan page with dozens of comments of people asking why they haven't been just refunded yet for their 2020 ticket already. People are filing complaints with their banks and credit card companies, being like, "You have to refund me. This company is a scam." This was a quote from a ticket holder at the time. "Let's face it, it is pretty hard to be positive. The owners just keep prolonging the news. They need to be upfront with all of us and tell us what is happening. They've had a few years to figure it out all along and keeping all of our money." So, mind you, like early bird tickets were sold for $260. With an average of 20,000 people in attendance, they should have like at least $5 million in the bank already from their 2020 tickets.
Where did it go?
Yeah. The municipality has no idea what's going on either. Like, they haven't talked to the organizers, but they obviously want it to come back because it generates income within the town. So finally, organizers announce on social media in 2022 that the festival will be canceled for the third time in a row and that plans for 2023 are, quote, uncertain. This time, there's like no real reason, and people are starting to scream scam. The average person, has like spent thousands of dollars. So somebody on Twitter in 2022 said, a haven of depravity it was. God, I miss Havelock Jamboree. Somebody else says, Havelock Jamboree is canceled this year, and I'm still so sad that I was the most excited thing to go to when stuff opened up. Anyway, now I'm forced to go to Boots and get my fill of running around like a feral cat for the weekend. So people don't want to go to Boots and Hearts. They want to go to the Jamboree. A nearby town called Tweed, their country event called the Tweed Stampede and Jamboree started offering free tickets to people who had the Jamboree canceled on them. And they even had like a Havelock section of camping for people to go to. And there was like, he was making like TikToks about this and stuff, like encouraging people to come out.
Oh, I didn't know that. That is so funny. With the refugees from the Jamboree.
So on its website, Havelock Country Jamboree said that they will advise ticket holders as soon as they can do reimbursements. And journalists call the Jamboree's toll-free hotline, which goes to voicemail, telling people to look at the website for updates. So the website is just kind of not doing it.
Yeah.
So finally, June of 2023 rolls around. And that's when organizers announced the end of the Havelock Country Jamboree forever. And they released the statement that you read right off of the top of this. I have to say, as an outsider unpacking this story, I personally was like, oh no, this elderly couple, like they went bankrupt. This is so sad. And then I hear your version of things and I'm like, oh wait, no, there might be a little bit more maliciousness to the story than I anticipated.
Well, I mean, and that is not my official stance. I'm not going to go hard and say they stole all this money or anything like that. I don't want to be legally tied to that. But it doesn't make sense to me that all these people paid for tickets and you can't return the money. Where did the money go? What did you do with it?
Me. Yeah, because now that you mentioned people still haven't gotten their refunds yet.
No.
They should have had at least $5 million in the bank, and then they sold the property for where the Jamboree was. There was 7 parcels of land with a combined asking price of $13 million. So they have like $18 million to play around with and can't give people refunds yet?
Yeah, that's what I haven't been able to figure out. Is it sold? Because there are people, because that's the big thing now that is like, it's been a couple of years and people are still like angry posting about like where is the money, people? And they're like, some people are like, oh, I heard the lands were sold. Oh no, I heard they haven't sold them yet. So like there's a lot of back and forth about whether or not it's been sold. And if it's been sold, you have tons of money to pay us back. So
yeah,
what's happening?
But if you're an apologist, you're like, well, they haven't sold the property yet, so of course they don't have the money to refund us.
Yeah, there are those people.
But then
too.
what did they do with the first $5 million is the big question. The big question of the hour. So that is like the history of what happened. Boots and Hearts now calls itself Canada's largest camping and music festival. That title used to be held by Havelock Jamboree. Marianna, what is Havelock going to do without the Country Jamboree now?
I guess they're going to have to change the sign. But yeah, I think it's really sad. But then also, I think some people are kind of secretly happy that the Jamboree is done. People in town. You know, like for us, it was a really crazy time, and it gave us, like at the restaurant, we would get a lot of business for breakfast, a lot of hangovers coming to eat fried eggs. But then it would shut down our business for the rest of the day because everyone's in there. They're not leaving. They're like in these huge, because like the fields too are like massive. The amount of property that this festival had, everyone's in there. There's vendors in there. They're wasted. Like they're not venturing into town to come out for a dinner, right? So it would actually kill our business for the whole weekend. And so like there was pros and cons. And I think some people in the town are like a little bit like good riddance.
Yeah. I think here's my pitch for a new slogan or motto on it. Home of the station. I think it's got lots of like different meanings. Obviously, it's a shout out to your dad's restaurant, but also the beloved trains and the station that sits there, a historical monument. I think, I'm just throwing it out there, I think that's a great slogan.
I love this.
I also think Havelock should change its name anyway. What are you changing the town of Havelock's name to?
Ooh, okay. Oh my God. That's a juicy question. Why? No, I kind of like station as a town name, just to kind of build on what you were saying. I feel like station is a cute name for a town, first of all. And second, it's like, well, that's our big thing is we have a nice old train station here. There's really not much else to look at. You come from the east, you go through a traffic light, you drive for about 30 seconds, and then you're done. So
Yeah.
there's not a lot to see in that time that you're driving through the town, except this big, beautiful train station. So why don't we change the name to just Station? I'm going to take this back to the Legion guys and see if they can do something about it.
You'll never know if they do. That's the problem. You'll never know. Thank you so much, Marianna, for coming on Canardian. What's new at the Sonar Network in 2025?
Oh my God, so much. I first of all, thank you for having me. This was so fun.
Of course.
And the Sonar Network has a short comedy fiction series that's coming out in 2025. It stars. It's written by Mike Sachs, who's like a very well-loved humorist and writer. He's the editor for Vanity Fair. He's like great writer. And it stars Bobby Moynihan, Ray Seahorn, who's like Kim Wexler from Better Call Saul. She's incredible. John Hamm is in it, which is insane. Who else? Tim Sharp and Steve Little from Eastbound and Down. And a lot of really, really great actors, voice actors and comedians from here in Canada too. But you can follow at Stanland Series on Instagram. It's a brand new account. And you can also follow at the Sonar Network on Instagram and just keep an eye on what we're up to.
Yes, because not only do you have this incredible show coming out, but you have like a million other, not a million, but like over 30 other incredible shows on the network that are always so hilarious. So many fun shows that everybody needs to check out. So highly recommend you do so. That is the Sonar Network. All of those links will be in the show notes. Along with all of my links, I'm Katie Lohr. You can find me on my newsletter, Pod the North. The Canardian theme song is by my very talented partner, Mark Allen, with support from his hometown buddies, People Like Us. And if you like the podcast or you know someone from Havelock, somebody who's been to the Jamboree, somebody who knows about the Jamboree but has been to Boots and Hearts, please share it with any train lovers. Train lovers will love this episode. Share this episode around. There's a wide variety of things we talked about in here
Oh my God.
that people will love.
Contact Katie and tell her about how you haven't gotten your refund yet.